Hey, what's going on, Junkie Nation? It's Kenshiro. It's Tuesday. It's the Flash Day. It's also a game day for us, and we want to welcome you to the live stream. I got the usual crew with me today. I got Mr. Pessimistic there. Nation, it's Kenshiro. It's Tuesday. It's the Flash Day. It's also a game day for us, and we want to welcome you to the live stream. I got the usual crew with me today. I got Mr. Pessimistic there. And I also have GQ checking in.
Hey, what's going on, everybody?
I got the
Enjoying
great
myself here.
I got the great Datakuji joining us.
Good evening, everybody in Junkie Nation land.
And I got finally they got the big Kahuna joining us today.
Hey, what's going on, Junkie Nation?
All right, guys. Today we're expecting maybe Megashawn to join us. He's trying to figure some things out with his computer. If he can join us, he'll join us. If he can't join us, then he can't join us. But let's get going with the show. First, we're going to start with a little bit of news of the day. First thing that we got today, Mr. Daitokuji-san, sir. What do you got?
Well, is it besides that whole thing that Superman or Batman versus Superman is going to be rated R when it comes out to DVD?
Well, we'll kind of get to that later, but yeah, you can briefly talk a little bit about that.
Just briefly a little bit about the news because of Daredevil. Deadpool and Deadpool Nation is making every movie want to be rated R. At least the executives.
Now, do you really think it's the Deadpool effect we're talking about here?
Oh, completely and 100%, which we'll touch on later, but yeah.
GQ, what do you think? Is it the Deadpool effect, or is it already always been intended to kind of be rated R?
I think it's the Deadpool effect, but actually, I can give them a little bit of the benefit of the doubt because if you notice, if you look at all of the different trailer releases that they've had, they've even had trailers where Batman says that son of a bitch brought the war to us, and then another one is he brought the war to us. So it seems like yes, there were different takes where it's like, you know what, let's get a little bit edgier and let's go hard. So maybe it's not so much a reaction to Deadpool. Maybe the plan was always there. But it still seems like it because DC's usually kind of behind a little bit, and it always feels like they're trying to play catch up and do what other people, Marvel, are doing.
Pessimistic, what do you think about it?
Absolutely not. This is just them riding on the coattails of the already successful Deadpool. I don't believe they ever had any intentions of the movie being R, but since they said, "Oh, look, R already can work, and they can get the cash flowing and whatnot," so they're gonna do the Blu-ray director's cut and whatnot. And if Deadpool had been a flop, it would have still been PG-13. Enough said about that.
Megashawn managed to join in. What do you think about Batman vs Superman being rated R for the Blu-ray release?
Well, I mean, I think it's, is there a little bit of copycat going on? Of course there is. But at the same time, it's business as usual. If you know that you can, if Batman is relatively darker, then, some of his things should or could be rated R. So why not cash in on that group of people? You got to make dollars. If it don't make dollars, it don't make sense.
Exactly. Kahuna, check in real quick. What do you think?
I think it's a little bit of both. I think it's a little bit of it is coattails, and some of it is, I think they might have, like GQ said earlier, there's two different cuts with him, kind of cussing. That's, some bitch brought the fight to us. So I think it's kind of a little bit of both. But with the success of Deadpool, they're going to really ride that rated R now, and so is other movies following that.
I'm kind of glad you brought that up because speaking of rated R films, Warner Brothers obviously has a note to the very popular anime property Death Note, and it was announced today that Death Note is going to be rated R. Now, call me callous, call me lame. I haven't seen Death Note yet. I keep meaning to. I'm kind of like Datakuji in that manner that I kind of meant to see it, but I haven't seen it yet. Who's seen Death Note, and do you think this rated R rating is good for it?
I've seen Death Note, and I don't see how they can put more violence into it. I mean, there was a few scenes where people got, shot. It wasn't extremely violent, or somebody was dead, and they wrote something in blood on a cell or something like that. So I mean, I wouldn't think that it's extremely violent, but they probably are going to try to appeal to the to the fans of the series somehow by not trying to baby it, I guess, because
Hmm.
that's kind of what you've been seeing a lot of things that when they try to, besides even though Old Boy was an anime, it was a manga. I don't think it ever got turned into an anime. They they kind of baby the crap like Dragon Ball. Dragon Ball could be like a hard PG-13 so they can get the kids into there because it does have some pretty violent stuff like people getting punched right through or blown up. So I don't know. I don't even think they would do a good job with Death Note. So I can't even
And they have
speak on
brief
that.
nudity.
Pessimistic. What do you think? Did you see Death Note?
I did not watch it to full completion, but the episodes that I did see, I did rather enjoy it. With that being said, I just really don't have a lot of faith with Warner Brothers, so I don't think it's really in good hands. I mean, I don't know. I mean, I know it's still just announced, so I mean, if they get a good writer, producer, and a team that actually cares about the, property, there's still hope. But I'm not trying to go thought goes on some of these things, so just have to wait till it comes out if it ever gets done.
Kahuna, what do you think?
No, I haven't watched any of the anime. I know of Death Note, and I know my sister, his sister and brother, I think have watched the animes, but I don't know much about Death Note. I just know that freaky looking character.
GQ, I know you haven't seen Death Note, but this seems like it would appeal to you. Do you think it's a good idea?
Well, realistically, like he said, have you seen this, man? You can always put more violence on screen, as far as I'm concerned. I would actually like them to go make it R-rated, make it an extremely hard R, and basically show that it's like, look, we're kind of tired of the whole, like for example, like I've always said, you've never seen the Joker the way I think you see the Joker,
Hmm.
ever. I don't even think Leto is going to get it right
Really?
because they're so worried about tarnishing the quote unquote name of all of these different franchises or whatever. Where it's like, I need to see the Joker skin somebody alive. I need to see the Joker like blow up a school room full of children. I need to see the Joker blow up those two barges at the end of Dark Knight. I need to see that because that to me that's the Joker. That would be real. So Death Note, if they're going to do it, they got to do it hard R. They can't go like half stepping with it.
Okay. Well, speaking of also Warner Brothers and their penchant for lighter fare, as Mr. Pessimistic might say, they couldn't get rated R right, but they do get stuff right on TV. And today we got some picks from the highly anticipated Supergirl Flash episode that's going to be coming out. So why don't you guys talk about that? Have you seen the picks, and what do you think?
I didn't see the pics. I saw the little tease that they kind of had in that episode of Flash where he was kind of saw her through the Speed Force.
Hmm.
I think it's cool. I have no problem with them having their universe be shared. I think it's a good thing. I think it's something that's long overdue for DC.
Hmm.
It's something that they could have done even back in the days of Smallville. They could have had like this type of crossover. They did a little bit of Justice League on their own in season 5 of Smallville, and I'll give them all of their props for that. But the fact that they were so restrictive of West of what could be put in those episodes and what could be done with the Superman character and some of the other characters in the DC universe, I'm glad to see that they finally kind of lifted that and they're like, look, we're gonna have our TV shows have shared universes.
Which is brilliant. Kahuna, you're usually up on this stuff. Did you see the pictures, and what'd you think? Did it get you more excited for the episode to finally come out?
Oh yeah, yeah, I'm definitely excited for it. I mean, I pretty much knew it was pretty much a given when they had in the beginning of the season when they had that what was it, a Variety magazine, I believe, that the
I think
Flash
so.
and
Yeah, yeah.
Supergirl's on the cover. I knew that wasn't just them two taking a picture of each other, superhero thing. I had a feeling that it was going to be a crossover, and luckily, it's come true. Yeah, and yeah, the pictures are awesome too. If you look at one of those pictures, you can see the Flash hitting the dab.
Yeah, yeah, we saw that. We saw that there, and that's pretty cool. Mr. Pessimistic, you're pretty new to Supergirl, but you've kind of been checking out the Flash too, I believe. Uh, and we didn't really get your viewpoint when we talked about it last week. What do you think about Supergirl and the Flash kind of crossing networks and kind of being connected?
I think it's a good idea. It's like everybody else said. It's been long overdue. I've been following the Flash since day one. Enjoyed the show. just started catching up on Supergirl, and so far I enjoy that show too. I was actually pretty surprised by the direction that they're taking with it so far. So so far so good. So I think it's a good idea.
Okay. That Megashawn is he wants to get in. What do you got to say, man?
Well, as a wise businessman told me, going off separately and trying to get money never works out too well. But if you bring all the money in together and then you build several empires and then you move on from there. So the combining of both only makes logical sense, seeing as they belong in the same universes. And once the rest of these supposed genius companies realize that, then there'll be nothing but billions shared across the board. Just ask Josh Whedon.
Exactly. Dadakuji, you got anything to add?
Well, kind of like Mr. Pessimistic there, I have only seen one episode of Supergirl, which is the pilot,
Hmm.
and it looked like it was okay. And people say it's a pretty good show. I do like that they are putting in other things from other universes. I think that to me is super awesome. Just because if you're gonna do something with comic books, and these comic books have been doing it for years, why not do it in a show? It gives you even more reason to watch show A and show B instead of just show A, because you can like one show and not like the other show, but if they are in the same universe, it kind of gives you a little bit, for me, a little bit more of a reason to watch them both. So when the season's over, maybe I'm going to try to get caught up on it, because I have to, I guess, go to CBS.com or something like that to
Yeah,
find
you
them.
got to go through their app. You can't go through Hulu. So if you don't watch it live, and then you got to get their app, which is kind of
Yeah, because I don't
yeah.
watch it live, so I got to figure something out. But I do want to, watch it, because I hear, and I don't know if it happened already, the storyline where that alien plant gets attached
Yeah,
to her chest.
that was a couple weeks ago.
Oh,
That
so
was
it
a couple
already
weeks. Yeah,
happened.
it already
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
that was
kind of
happened.
wanted
last
to
week.
see that
The Black
episode.
Mercy.
Yeah, yeah.
Even though Mongo had nothing to do with it, did he?
Nope, did not make an appearance, and I knew he wouldn't. So let's move on. Let's get to the recaps. First, let's start with The Walking Dead. Walking Dead had a pretty interesting episode. It wasn't as explosive as that comeback episode that they had the first week, but it was still a pretty solid episode.
It
Kahuna,
was explosive in other ways.
it was explosive in other ways. You are right about that, GQ. So let's go ahead and talk about it a little bit.
It
Um,
was a safe episode.
yeah, okay. Kahuna, why don't you kind of take us a little bit through your diligent watcher of The Walking Dead? So why don't you kind of lead us off with that?
I enjoyed
What
the
happened?
episode. It definitely wasn't, the very first episode, all that action, but I mean, we got introduced to what's his name, Paul Monroe, Jesus, and
Jesus.
he's a pretty big character in the comics,
Hmm.
and it's pretty cool to see some of his, he's an expert at hand-to-hand combat, and he's an escape artist too.
Yeah.
So it's kind of cool to actually see that in the show. You saw him; he escaped a couple times actually, from being tied up. And we finally got, the world's been waiting for Rick Shone, and we
Rick
finally
Sean.
got Rick Shone. You know,
Now it's interesting
Rick,
you bring
Rick.
that up because I was always kind of thinking that they would kind of get together even in the books because they were the two biggest personalities in the entire group. You had the badass black woman and you had the take no shit white guy. Who was a sheriff. It seemed like a pretty obvious match, but Kirkman kind of kept them separate, and he always did a really good job with it. But what do you guys, GQ? What did you think of the whole pairing with Rick Shone and all that kind of stuff? What did you think?
Honestly, I think it's one of those situations where, like, I guess if you're the last man and last woman on Earth, somebody's gonna hook up with somebody. Because I've never found her to be attractive in the least, and you guys know how I am. So
Yes,
if a
we know
woman's
how
not
you
attractive,
are.
I'm not going to sleep with her.
Yeah, we
So
know how you are.
yeah, again, it's just it comes out of necessity. It's like, doggone it, you've been killing zombies for the past couple of years. You gotta get the rocks off somehow, and
Cool.
there you
Got to
go.
get your rocks off somehow. No celibacy for you. You do it if only if she was the
No,
last
no,
chicken up.
no, no, I wouldn't. Like I
Oh,
said,
you
she's not
wouldn't.
attractive to
I
me.
see.
I got
So,
a sword you can play with.
well, you're right, exactly. No, she's not. I don't care what nobody says. She is not like hot enough to. No. Not
Okay.
happening.
All right, Dido, get in there. What'd you think of the episode this week?
I thought it was a pretty cool episode. The whole I'm not calling him Rick Shone. I'm calling him Mick
You call him
because
Mick? Mick? Mick?
yeah,
That's
Shone and
not
Rick.
bad. That's not
But
bad. That's not bad at all.
you know what I think it is? It's just because that Rick he sees himself as being a really strong character and a survivor, and
Right.
all the women that come across die except for Michonne. She's a
She's the one
strong
constant
woman,
in
and I
his
think
life,
that's what
yeah.
he's looking for. Somebody that's going to be there with him because every time he gets himself attached to somebody, they die.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it doesn't seem like that's going to happen to her. Why not attach yourself to somebody that's extremely strong and go from there? But I thought the episode was actually pretty cool. It kind of did piss me off a little bit because you got Jesus, who I know nothing about, because I read the comics up to a certain point, and I didn't get to his introduction at all. And all that food that just got ruined because you two guys just, I'd have killed him. Like, I would have been so nice.
Yeah, they had a big lick with that truck.
Yeah. So, but I think that's one that they call a safe episode completely because, like, nothing really happened. Yeah, it introduced the character. I want to know a little bit more about this character. Part of me says I should read the comics, but at the same time, the comics and the TV show do kind of diverge, I should say, rather. And I don't even know if he's going to be like how he is in the comics.
Who, Negan? He better be. He better be. Because
Yeah.
if he's not, that's gonna be a big problem. Not only for me, but a lot of
Yeah,
dedicated Walking Dead fans. That's gonna be a big problem.
that's right up there with killing Daryl.
Oh yeah. Oh, you just don't do that. You just don't do it. No.
So the hell
Uh,
will pay if you kill Daryl.
um. Did anybody watch? Anybody else watch The Walking Dead and have anything to say about it today?
No, I don't watch The Walking Dead.
Wow. Don't watch The Walking Dead, huh? Okay.
Mhm.
All right. Well, moving right along. Let's get to the episode of The Flash. It was, it was okay. It wasn't the greatest episode, but it wasn't a terrible episode either. Um, but we did get a pretty big reveal. So let's go ahead and talk about that, guys. What did you think of the episode today?
Well, I don't know how many of you guys out there in Junkie Nation have watched it. And if you haven't watched it, close your ears. Because
Spoiler
I know who
alert.
Zoom
Spoiler
is.
alert! Spoiler alert! 5, 4.
But I mean, you're not going to jump right into that. I mean, the episode was pretty cool. It was one of those episodes where they just got back from, Earth 2, and they had these difficulties going on with not really understanding. I mean, even though they emotionally they know that these people weren't who they were to them, but emotionally they still felt the same.
Mhm.
And King Shark, which they kind of blew their load on probably the effects budget because he wasn't in a lot of scenes there to be the major villain of the week. But I mean, I liked the episode, and the reveal at the end was it was a little lackluster, mainly because if you're a comic book watcher or reader, and you watched the comic book and you paid attention to the series, you already knew who Zoom was. I mean, you had questions about him, you may not have been 100% sure, but they told you who he was, and if you looked on Wikipedia and found out who is Zoom, it says who he is right there. So it is kind of like, okay, what is still going on with, this person, because trying not to spoil it for you guys. You thought I was going to be an ass and spoil it. You got two people that look alike, and you want to know why.
Yeah,
Well,
I mean it was a pretty good episode. I mean, yeah, I'm sure they pushed the budget on this episode because when we first saw King Shark, they say that little scene that he had at the end of that Flash episode was pretty expensive. So he was in here, multiple times this time. I mean, it wasn't exactly the action that we wanted, but still, you got to remember that they're on a budget also. They don't have that big budget. But at the same time, they gave us more than just that little peek at it. And then the big reveal at the end, I mean, it's pretty much what everybody expected. I mean, they showed Zoom and he's taking off his mask, and then they're circle panning, and then you actually see that it's
He couldn't wait to he's been waiting for that since yesterday. Oh man.
Yes, I have.
He's been waiting for that since yesterday. Oh man, that's a good thing. What do you think about
I'm
it,
just
GQ?
waiting. I'm waiting for that video meme. That's all I'm waiting for.
Oh
Somebody,
yeah,
I know
and you
somebody's
know
gonna
it's
somebody
make it.
coming.
somebody's finishing it right
Yeah,
now.
you know it's coming. So GQ, let's get your thoughts on the episode of Flash. What'd you think of
um,
it?
I enjoyed it. The King Shark, you could tell, and again, like everybody said, they pushed the budget on this one, and I think they actually got a different team to do it. Because if you compare the King Shark reveal from the original, I think first, second episode of the season, or first, or whatever it was, he looked almost realistic. Like it looked like he was just in the scene, like somebody was gripping Barry up and holding him there, and he looked real.
Hmm.
Then in this one, is like you could tell the CG was it was almost like Sci-Fi Channel ish, which again, nothing wrong with it because it's a TV budget. But it's just it's like they established this real high bar of how King Shark's gonna look. Then this episode was a little bit dipped down because they had to, obviously show him in more scenes.
Right.
So I almost wish they could have found a way to keep that same level of quality of the way he looked originally, into this episode. But I mean, again, like you said, I like the fact that they're pushing the envelope because you couldn't have told me 5 years ago that they would have even considered putting a character like King Shark on TV for
Indeed.
any of these shows. So I mean,
Or
I'm glad
or
that they're
Martian
actually doing
Manhunter
it.
for that matter. Martian
Exactly.
Manhunter too
So
for that
yeah, I'm
matter.
glad I'm
So
glad that they're
I
at least
think
doing
he
it.
looked more CG too, just because he had more movement in this episode.
Yeah, that's
That
too.
first,
I
his
agree.
his first reveal, he didn't have any movement. He kind of just really stood there.
yeah.
Right. I agree.
Dido, what did you think of the whole Zoom reveal now that we kind of pretty much figured out who he is and where do you guys think it's going to go from here?
Well, what I'm trying to figure out is okay, who got killed at the end of the last episode? Um, what you call it? Because like I said, the reveal it was like surprising, like oh okay, so it is who that is, but it wasn't like oh my goodness, it's so and so. Just because like when he was sitting in the park, he said this is my doppelganger and blah 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 blah. This is his name, and then when I looked up on Wikipedia, like who the heck is Zoom, it said who he was, so I kind of figured
I
that
think,
was going on.
in my opinion, I think Zoom is actually from like Earth 3 or something. I don't even think Zoom is from Earth 2. I think Zoom is like, a villain from a whole
Yeah,
different Earth.
with all
He
those
could be.
different breaches, it's very plausible that that's exactly what could be happening.
Yeah, and we still got that man in the iron mask with
That's
our previous
OJ there.
stream. We
No,
were
that's
saying
That's Leo. We already know that's Leo. That's
Right.
already been established. That's Leo DiCaprio.
that.
Okay, guys. Well, I'm interested to see where it's going to go because now that they're back on Earth One, that pretty much blows my theory about how they're going to get to National City and Supergirl out of the water. But obviously, Cisco's still going to figure fairly prominently in maybe making them cross the breach now that he's got Reverb's glasses. So we'll have to see exactly where it goes from there, and we'll make sure that we definitely keep tuning in, and we hope you guys do the same thing. Okay, let's move on, and we're going to have our episode of game now. Um, just like we did last week, I'm going to give each of the guys 5 minutes to kind of talk about the topic, and then we'll kind of have a little bit of a cross talk, and debate. Um, we'll debate whether this is something that necessarily needs to happen or it doesn't need to happen. And what we're going to be talking about today is the news, as Daido Kuji alluded to earlier, the news that Batman vs Superman is going to be rated R on what's essentially basically a director's cut of the film when it finally hits home theaters, and at the rate like GQ made an allusion to, I think it was yesterday, at the rate that it's going, we'll probably have it by Thanksgiving. Maybe even Labor Day. We might even have the Blu-ray release because these things seem to be coming out pretty fast after they leave the theater. I know Spectre came out pretty quick after it left the theater. It was like 4 months or something like that. But anyway, so obviously, and like I never kind of weighed in when we talked about it in the news, but obviously the film was always intended to be rated R, but the studio wanted to get a more mass audience. They wanted to make sure that the kids could come and see it, so they trimmed some of the more extreme parts out and made it simply a PG-13 film. Now, personally, I don't. I could go either way. So I'm gonna let the guys kind of get to it, and they'll let you know what they think of Batman vs Superman being a rated R film in 1 second. Uh, let's see. So we will start with GQ.
Okay. Well,
Start
I
with GQ.
believe.
Hold on 1 second. You got time
All
is
right.
starting now. 5 minutes.
All right. Well, I believe it should be an R-rated film, because again, I understand from a financial standpoint, you got to make your money. I get that. But Deadpool has already showed that if you can make $500 million in 9 days, ratings are no longer the bar that they used to be. Yes, you're not going to have kids in there. Who cares? You got more than enough adults that have the money to spend to go see these movies multiple times. As many of us have seen Deadpool multiple times, this guy is doing pretty good on his own, and he's doing really, really well. So I have no problem with the movie being rated R. Batman is a much darker hero. A lot of his villains, as I even just said earlier in the chat, like the Joker, are definitely R-rated villains. I'm getting tired of this dumbing down and toning down of the Joker. He is a murderer, and he should be treated as such. So it's like Deadpool has already kind of showed them the way, and yes, it seems like they're going to be copying Deadpool a little bit if they go with the R rating. But so what? Who cares? Everybody copies everybody anyway. Thanos copied Darkseid, even though Darkseid's going to come after we get Thanos. So I mean, it's like, who really cares? Now, as far as the director's cut thing goes, I don't think that they should always fall back on director's cuts. I think like it would be, sometimes maybe it's okay to just go ahead and just do the hard version and apologize for it later. Sometimes
Hmm.
it's better to ask for forgiveness than permission.
Hmm.
Because remember we had this movie that came out all normal and the
Huh.
Bennifer thing happened and
The
blah
Bennifer
blah
thing.
blah.
Nice.
And then you had the director's cut that came out of the same movie. Now, in my opinion, didn't fix very much because they had a Coolio in a court scene, and that's not really special to me. So I'm just not really into the whole, oh, the director's cut is going to make it better. It's like, no, you better make it better the first time. Make me a good movie right off the bat, right from Jump Street. Give me a good script, have a vision in place, and then execute that vision. Whether or not you cut like a couple of little Johnnies and little Susies out of the theater and they can't go see it and they got to wait and see it at home, or if they got to see it with their parents there, who cares? Parents need to do their jobs anyway and explain to them what content is good and how things you should follow and what content is bad and things maybe you shouldn't do.
Okay.
Evil is still a point of view, though.
Yeah, it is. Okay, but let's bring this up. Okay. Now, Batman, you're right, is more of an R-rated. Um, he's more of an R-rated character. Superman, however, is not. So, do you think that this could set the tone moving forward for their entire cinematic universe? Because I know a lot of people are saying that they want to have more serious stories out of DC characters. Eh, do you think possibly that if they apply the whole hard R, not hard R, because we know this is not going to be hard R in the slightest, not like Deadpool was, but but do you think that this, if they carry this tone forward, that it could have a negative effect on other characters that aren't made for the rated R pathway?
No, because look at like Man of Steel. Man of Steel took Superman to a place that most people didn't even expect him to go. Yes, it made a lot of the quote unquote wholesome fans angry that he broke Zod's neck, but doggone it, he's living in a real modern world. We're not in truth, justice, and the American way anymore. We are in a society and a world where threats have to be eliminated.
But
Zod
some
was a
people
threat.
say, that he still should hold on to those values, despite it not being that era any longer. What do you
For
say?
for what purpose? He's an alien that's brought up in a world, a modern world where those values don't mean squat. So you have to remember that regardless of any of the Jonathan Kent and all that other sort of thing, he still is a Kryptonian. He still is an alien. He still does not have to adhere to the quote unquote truth, justice in the American way. He can make decisions on his own based on what works best for the situation. Now, true enough, he could have just flew up straight with them and not even had to worry about those people. But he broke Zod's neck. It was something that was a shock and a change to a character that we've all known for the past, well, as long as we've all
75
been
years.
alive.
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
been
as long as we've all
75
been
years.
alive.
That had to
Plus,
be
Yeah,
one of my
then
favorite
some.
scenes. I've watched
yeah.
that scene so many times.
With him break.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So,
Okay.
right, but it's like, and the thing is, I don't see this changing the whole path of how DC's gonna go. It's not like they're gonna put her in a movie and then she's gonna drop her top or nothing. So I mean, it's like, let's just be realistic. Certain
Fanboys can
characters,
hope, can't they? Fanboys
well,
can
whatever.
hope.
Certain characters, her eyes are up here. Certain characters can,
Right.
like, basically, fit that mold. Because even Batman, technically, he doesn't kill people, so like he's not really deserving of a R rating either. It's the villains, in my opinion, that should be driving these things towards these darker, harder, versions of, whatever. It's like the villain should always be something. The villain, essentially, if you don't have the villain, you don't have the hero. Period. It's not even a chicken or egg thing. Heroes are worthless without their villains. So if the villain is driving things to the point where like it's more violent, it's more the stakes are higher, fine, I'm all for it. Make it R rated and the kids can see it on Blu-ray or whatever, or they can see it like we used to watch the R movies back in the day when nobody was looking. And I'm sure I'm past my 5 minutes.
You are, and that's all right. So let's move on to Mr. Pessimistic. Do you think this is a good idea or a bad idea, and why?
I'm gonna try and keep this short. First of all, I didn't even know that the production, the whole start of this film was supposed to be going towards an R rating, and I mean, I'm kind of wondering why. It's like, ain't no
Yeah.
way they're gonna make this film R. Uh, Usually, most of the time when they do a director's cut, it isn't. It doesn't really add much to the film. So I don't know, man. Depending on how much they left on the cutting room floor, it's possible the director's cut will add more to the film. But it's like GQ said, just get it right the first time. Me personally, I still think it's just they're following the money. They saw the success of Deadpool, like, oh well, they proved that there can be a good R-rated comic book hero and whatnot. I just think they're following the money. That's all I
Now,
got to say about it.
that's a popular opinion. That is a very popular opinion. But again, like I said, this movie wrapped months ago. So obviously it was always either intended to be an R-rated film or it was accidentally an R-rated film and they trimmed it down. But now because of Deadpool, they're bringing out the director's cut.
I
So,
agree with you on that. I agree
okay,
with you. That's like the whole like contingency plan. So it's like, well, if Deadpool succeeds, we'll go ahead and do the director's cut R-rated. If it doesn't succeed, we'll just leave the film where it is. That's where I generally think that they were going with that. They were just waiting to see how that film would do, and then it seems as if the success of Deadpool is going to be how these other films are going to be measured now. So that's
okay.
where
Well, Mrs. Daidokuji, hello, Net. How are you doing? I'm glad you're in the chat. Um, She brought up a pretty good question. Will raising the rating garner more attention slash hype for the movie, in your opinion? And GQ, you can
no,
jump in too. You can jump
no,
in too since you already talked.
not really. Because here's the thing: is that I mean, people who like Batman and Superman, the fan base is already established. Changing the rating from PG-13 to R, it's not going to make a difference. You already got the established fan base, and people will probably go see if it was rated G. So I don't think that even really matters.
GQ, do you concur?
Oh yeah, definitely. I mean, and plus it's not like they're changing the theatrical release rating. They're changing the rating of the movie that I'm already going to buy, regardless of whether the movie's good or not. So I mean, it's not really going to add anything special to it. It might bring a little bit of hype, but people are going to go see this movie anyway. This is
Okay.
something that people have been waiting for since before time began. So they're going to go see this movie,
All right. Well, back
no
to you,
matter
Mr.
what.
Pessimistic. You and I, we are we're Superman fans, and I'm gonna ask you the same question that I asked GQ.
Hold
Do
on,
you
on purpose?
ignore him? We again. Do you think that this hard R direction, being that Batman is probably one of the few hard R characters that they have in their stable, really quick, do you think that this will set a bad precedent moving forward for some of their other movies?
That's not really a tough question. That's not really loaded. It's a simple yes or no. Um, future movies, if the hero is geared more towards the, adult oriented rating, then yes. But if they try and take a PG character and try and steer more to R, it's going to be an absolute catastrophe. So,
Oh, and Adobo Girl slash Mrs. Daidakuji, Mrs. Nanette Net. She, whatever Daidakuji wants me to call her, I'll refer to that. But anyway, um, what she brought up another good point, and it's something that we've kind of all talked about, maybe even ad nauseum, is that they keep making these films taste like Batman, because Batman is their cash cow. And she says she might develop an allergy to their movies soon because they're making everything so Batman flavored. So do you have that kind of same opinion, or you think it'll be all good, more bad the better? I know a
actually, I
couple
would
of our
like to,
panelists will say that.
yeah, I would like to hear Megashawn's take on that.
Okay, well let's get
Yeah,
to Megashawn. You're up, sir. I want to get your opinion on. Oh, look at him. He's salivating. He can't wait to get to it. So your 5 minutes starts right now. Go.
You're asking why they're giving you that good hard R for
It's not
the
gonna be no hard R. Now, come on, man. It's not gonna be no
R.
Deadpool. No, it's not gonna be no
Listen,
hard R. You know that.
you're gonna get Bruce Wayne with Vicky Vale. You're gonna get Bruce Wayne with Catwoman. You're gonna get Bruce Wayne with Poison Ivy. You're gonna get Bruce Wayne with Harley Quinn. It's gonna be awesome. But no, in all seriousness, what that R does kind of say is that you're going to get more Batman. And there's not few things better than more Batman, maybe more Black Panther, but plenty of Batman. So if I'm getting a lot of hand-to-hand combat, a lot of batarangs in backs, and then obviously this is a Bruce Wayne whom we've never seen before in a film. He's obviously agitated. There's a colossal level of animosity. What did he say? If there's just one chance out of 99%, so this is, Bruce Wayne, whose his heart is heavy. He's obviously lost some people. Then he's also got somebody, writing on suits, so this is, Bruce Wayne backed into a corner. And obviously, even though it was his first time being challenged, we did see Kal-El snap a neck. So who knows where Bruce Wayne is going to go? And then obviously, to me, the question still has to be answered as into why he's so old. So who knows?
We'll save that
Bruce
for another day.
Wayne.
We'll save that for
Well, I'm
another
just
day.
saying.
Yeah, I
I'm
know.
just saying. Hey, he might get shot off a building, and he might get just blasted. I don't know, but maybe they tear apart this doomsday, whatever the heck that thing is. But I'm
Right.
looking forward to the R. Obviously I'm gonna go see them both. I'm gonna see one
Obviously.
and watch the other one, but. I know I'm excited, but then as far as the answer to the question to the lovely Adobo girl, um, once again, I mean, if Aquaman pie tastes like Batman, I mean, hey, I don't know what you got to do.
Aquaman pie, he
You know,
says.
you might just have to eat that slice. But clearly she's gonna go because the great Daido Coochies is gonna be there, so she doesn't really have a choice. But I mean, but at the same time, I don't want to see Batman in the water. I don't want to see Batman in the sky. I don't want to see Batman running around the world. So I would hope that they would be smarter than to make everything just like that, and definitely not make everything rated R if it's not necessary. But who knows, man? Because from those tentacle-looking things in Man of Steel to that awful-looking Doomsday, if that's what it might be, you never really know with
Uh oh. Uh oh. He dropped out.
Uh-oh, his five
Well,
minutes are
his
gone. He
5 minutes are
forfeited
up.
his
Oh
time.
man, that's tragic. That's a tragic end.
Did you see
Tragic,
that?
tragic end.
You see
Oh,
that?
he's
I
back.
said too much. See that? I just said too much. Somebody from Warner Brothers tried to cut me
Cut
off.
you off. That's right. They hacked you. They hacked you through the internet. They hacked you through the internet. That's something else. That's pretty. But look, um, I'm gonna go back to you real quick, and I want your opinion. I mean, we know you're a big fan of the bat, but again, let's think more long term here. If you make everything like Batman, then what makes Batman so special anymore? If everyone's going to be more just like cut from the same cloth, and there's no diversity in their stable, then then how can these other heroes really stand on their own two legs? Because they were not created to be like Batman. They were Batman was created to be a unique type of character. There's no one like Batman. Not even the Black Panther is like Batman. Batman is still
I,
Batman. You know what I mean?
very true,
Right.
and
So
and, and,
so
and I
again, if
agree 100%.
right. So when you say more Batman or more Batman like, I still I'm a big proponent of saying that that is at the detriment of everybody else in their stable. Your thoughts?
Oh, well, in regards to the R, I'm saying hopefully that gives me more Batman as far as combat. In regards to him being in everything, no, you are definitely correct. When I look at Arrow, all I see is Batman. So just out of his villain stable. So yes, I would love for them to reach out into these individual characters and cash in on them. But at the same time, some of the characters are similar to Batman, so it's just definitely a tough job. But as far as the main guys, the Martian Manhunters, the Mr. Terrifics, yeah, I tossed him in there. Superman, um,
The
and all
Flash,
those guys,
Green
yeah, Flash,
Lantern.
all those, Wonder Woman. I would hope that in these solo projects, maybe all you get of him is a bat jet going through the skyline, and that's about it. Because I do not want to have to deal with him all the time.
Okay. All right. Big Kahuna, get in there. What do you think about Batman vs Superman being rated R? Do you think this is a good thing, and does it bode well for the DC films?
I mean, like I said earlier, it does feel kind of like they're writing the whole Deadpool thing. Um, it is exciting to get rated R for the Blu-ray. You got something to look forward to after you see the theatrical version. Because usually when you get the Blu-ray, same old movie, but this time you got the rated R. So hopefully they're gonna add a whole bunch of stuff to it. Um, I mean, I kind of agree with what Megashawn said. Um, I don't really have a lot to say about that, but yeah.
Do you think it's good? Do you think it's good that they're doing this as far as like from the standpoint that they created this movie to kind of be, maybe to make it the Batman that we all really wanted to see because it is going to be a R-rated version. We just have to wait a couple of months in order to see it. Do you think that part is a good thing? And does it affect Superman moving down the road? As you being also a Superman fan, as just like me and Mr. Pessimistic.
And yes, GQ on purpose since I was a little one.
Hmm.
Um, yeah, I think. I'm sorry, I just drew a blank.
Oh man, come on! Remember,
Repeat that question again.
is it
Sorry
a
about
good
that.
thing or not? Is it a good thing or not? Them making a R-rated version of Batman vs Superman.
Oh yeah, I think so. I mean, we're definitely gonna get hopefully more action with Batman, much more, just a more UFC type Batman. I want to see
Hmm.
some head bashing and stuff like that. So yeah, I think it's gonna be good.
Okay, Junkie Nation. In the YouTube video, there is a vote card for you to cast your vote. Whether you think having Batman vs Superman being rated R is a good thing for DC films moving forward. Just cast your vote, and I'll take a look at it later. Um, and do you think that this could prove to be detrimental to their slate of films moving forward?
I don't think it will be. I think you're running into a situation where this is the big conflict. This is what the entire DC universe essentially hangs their hat on right now. If this film fails, all of it fails. So this film coming out the gate being the harder, more violent, more in your face. Here's where we're going, with some of this. I have no problem with that because full well going down the line, the only way to make Aquaman interesting is if you make him violent. Because if Aquaman is going to not be violent, we're going to have Super Friends again. And then Wonder Woman, she's not necessarily going to be as violent because her film is taking place in very, I don't know, like, isn't it supposed to be like somewhat modern
World
times or
War
something? I don't
no,
know.
it's going to be World War One.
Oh
era.
yeah,
Yeah.
so yeah,
So
they're gonna 1940s it and make it all happy go lucky, and
not
so I mean
that's not necessarily true either.
it
I mean,
it's going to well, first of all, it's Gail Gadot, so that's already the first failure. But like it's I think the situation honestly is going to be this film is just going to be hard R, not hard R. I'm sorry, it's just going to be R rated, and really only thing they're doing is they're trying to boost their Blu-ray sales because that's really all they're doing is boosting their advertising the Blu-ray, which is ridiculous.
yeah,
Going back to the cycle of
I totally agree. I
how
agree.
this film essentially has been one leak of information after another, and it's just like you haven't even released the film yet, and you're already talking about what the Blu-ray is going to be like. So I mean, it's like I don't know, and I'm kind of mad that Megashawn mentioned Mr. Terrific because the
Watch
only
your mouth.
Mr.
Watch your mouth.
No, no, no,
Watch your
no,
mouth.
no, 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 no.
Watch your mouth.
The only Mr. Terrific we've even seen so far is somewhat homosexual. That's why Power Girl left him for Deadpool.
Wow.
So I mean,
Whoa.
Wow.
it's
Wow.
like, dude, no, dude, no.
Well, I do have
Mr.
something I wanted to say though
Well, real
in
quick,
regards
well,
to. Oh, I'm
hold that.
sorry.
I need you to hold that. I need you to hold that because Dadakuji needs his 5 minutes. I need you to jump in, Dadakuji. I need you to talk about Batman vs Superman, whether this is a good idea, and what effect it might have on DC movies moving forward if they make it more like Batman.
Look, people are going to go see this movie regardless. Will it be good? Who knows? Don't care about that right now. But being the fact that Deadpool came out, it was rated R and it was successful. I don't care what anybody says. They're not doing a rated R by accident or planned. This is coming out here because you've seen many, many times when movies are released in the theater, they're PG-13, and when they get released on DVD and Blu-ray, they're unrated. Unrated typically means they put the stuff they got put on the cutting room floor that would not make the rating that they wanted in the theater. So this right here is that them doing it again. They're just making some news out of it because Deadpool did it. That's the only reason
Okay,
why
that's
you're hearing
okay.
about this right now.
That's a very
Deadpool
good
did it.
point. Yeah, I mean, I didn't think of it along those lines. I was still contending that the rated R, it was always kind of intended to be that way,
Not at
and
all.
they were going to
Not
release
at
a
all.
director's cut. So, that's a very good point. Thank you for bringing that up. Now, would you want to see more DC movies get the R-rated film treatment? I mean, because if it gets the home treatment and it's received very well. We could move forward. Uh, we could move forward and see like an R-rated Batman solo movie. We could see an R-rated Suicide Squad should be R-rated, but we don't know yet if it's going to be R-rated. Um,
They can make it happen now.
yeah, yeah, they
They
should.
did.
They probably will. They'll probably go back and recut the film a little bit if they got time, and put a lot of their stuff back in and make it rated R. Um, but do you like the fact that they're going to kind of do that with more of their characters?
Well, see, that's the whole thing. Personally, rating doesn't bother me what it is. As long as it's a good story and I enjoy it. If I walk out of the theater feeling like my time was not wasted, then I'm happy. But like GQ said, that rated R is really because of the villains. Batman has some of the most messed up villains, period. The Joker by himself could make the movie rated R, so I would not have a problem with that. I have no idea who's a villain in friggin' Aquaman. I have no idea who's a villain in Wonder Woman. And all that stuff just to make it rated R just because, to me, is dumb. That right there is going to lose, to me, flavor of the film. Like, it might be violent, like, oh my gosh, I finally got to see the violence. But that's what people liked about Man of Steel. And to me, that was like low on the totem pole, or the reason why Man of Steel, I didn't care about that. I mean, I like that they did that for Superman. They showed his power for the first time ever in a movie. They showed what Superman could do, but the story to me was just not as good as I'd like it. So it's always story first, and then build on top of that. So if they can't build on top of it, I don't care if it's rated R, I don't care if it's rated G, I don't care if it's rated PG. They can't build on it. It's going to be a crappy movie. So I would like them to friggin' first off get their what they want to do in this universe right first, because not all the movies can be Batman. And
Exactly.
like how Megashawn was saying, if Batman is successful, which he is, Batman is Batman. Aquaman is going to be like Batman. Aquaman doesn't need to be like Batman.
No,
Aquaman
he
needs
does
to
not.
have his own thing.
Yep.
And
Yep.
what is that? We don't know what that is.
Exactly.
Talks to fish.
He talks.
That's
Well, no, no,
no,
no.
that's
It's
just
it's more than that. That's too simplistic. That's the Super Friends. That's the Super Friends variant on it. Um, and you bring up some very good points there, Datakuji. Just about how they really need to establish a very solid foundation first. Let's not look so much at the rating. Let's not look so much at the rating. The rating, if it fits with the story, like like Deadpool did, because that is who Deadpool is. He's a rated R character. It's the truth. That's who he is. Um, but if the storyline and the character goes along with the rating that it gets, that's what it should be. Don't water it down like you said what they did with Kick-Ass 2. They watered it down because they were afraid of the hard R that it was going to get, and the movie tanked. Because of it, the movie suffered because of that, because it didn't stay true to what it was supposed to be. So thank you for that, Datakuji. Now let's open it up. Let's have a little crosstalk. All of you guys, let's jump in. Like Datakuji just said, it needs to have a solid foundation, and then the rating won't matter. What do you guys think about that? Agree, disagree, or should it always just kind of go for the, like GQ said, do it the hardest that you can, and then ask for forgiveness later?
Who's going
I
first?
Not all at
I'll go
once.
ahead
Just
and
whoever goes for. Okay, go ahead.
I agree with Didos that he's right. I mean, the rating, if it doesn't fit the characters, like the story, stick to the source material as closely as you possibly can. I'm gonna use the crappy X-Men films for example, how they've been all over the place with characters. You got characters being leaders that's not supposed to be leading team or not, and it's just stick to the source material and it'll work. So I mean, he's right about the rating. If it's R but story's crap and it doesn't draw you in, then the rating will probably be more hurtful to whatever brand they choose to give an R to or PG-13 rating. Just stick to the source material. Then. Yeah. I'm getting angry just thinking about it.
Make Sean.
I agree. I definitely think that they should use it where it applies. But I just wanted to say something earlier in regards to Aquaman. The villain from Aquaman is going to be Batman. He's going to be in the car, and he's going to throw that little plastic out from a six pack, and Aquaman has to come out of the water and take it off a dolphin's nose. But no, but in all honesty, as Miles had alluded to, if it applies, make it dark. But if it's about Flash, even in the comics, it's never really been that dark. Minus once you got into Zoom and other situations like that. But other than that, just make sure you use it where it applies. Stick to the source material. Stick to the source material. And if it's not a love story, don't make it one.
They
Yeah,
can't help that.
definitely.
They can't help
Well,
that.
I agree.
but at
You
the
cannot
same
make
time,
it or if it's not one.
yeah, but at the same time, you can make anything violent. You can make anything R-rated. You can take Hello Kitty and make it violent.
That's 100% true. I mean,
Well,
I've seen things that people make violent on the internet. Stick figures. Anybody remember that Zhao Zhao stuff?
oh
I've
yeah,
seen
Yep.
stuff was
Yeah.
great.
yeah,
Stuff
it
was
was
great.
rated R stick figures. So of course you can do all that stuff, and I don't mind it. That doesn't take it away from me. It's just if the story is bull crap, that's
Oh, again,
it doesn't
I'm not.
represent the characters right.
No, but that's
You
what I'm saying. I'm not saying doing it in detriment of the story. I'm saying doing it if you have a villain that's going to be that hardcore, make the movie R-rated. Because
Exactly, they should.
the hero is always going to be the good whatever, but it's like the villain is the one that drives your rating to me. Like for Batman, anytime you have the Joker, it should always be R. Always.
Yeah, because
You-
the Joker is an R.
Like,
He is, despite if Batman wants to be, not in killing, the Joker is going to.
yeah, exactly.
Breaking news: My Little Pony live action hard R confirmed.
Oh man,
Well, hold on. That means I'd become a brony if I go see that.
mm,
I don't
that's
know if I
a
can-
that's
nope.
yeah. I don't know if I
Bronies.
can do that. Yeah, I don't know if I can do that.
I just hope. This is the. I'm gonna take a page out of GQ's. But this is the Aquaman that I want right here.
You want
I
your
want the Khal
Aquaman to be
Drogo
Khal
Aquaman.
Drogo? You want to be Khal Drogo?
Yeah, I want that. That's gonna be Aquaman.
Okay. Having a Khal Drogo Aquaman wouldn't be so bad, and I guess that's why I always thought that the Jason Momoa casting was was right on point because him being Polynesian, him kind of being as an actor, he's come a long way from his Baywatch days. Um, but I just think he can finally get.
Baywatch.
Well, yeah, he was on Baywatch. What was it?
Yeah, that's
Baywatch
where you got to
Hawaii.
start.
Yeah, Baywatch Hawaii. Man, he was fresh faced and all this other kind of stuff. Women fell in love with him. All that.
I don't know if I should deduct points from you for knowing about that or
Why
not.
why wouldn't I know about that? It's in his bio history. That's where he started. That's where he
But
started. That's
yeah,
where he
but the
started.
whole the whole the whole fresh face and women love him thing wasn't in his bio history. You
Sure it
you
was.
said you
Sure it
said that
was.
you
That's
said that as
no,
if you
no,
watched that
no.
show
Literally,
before.
that's where people started paying attention to him because he was always shirtless. He was in the red trunks, and he didn't have no beard or none of that other kind of stuff. That's where he started. That was his first role. That was his first major role. It was in Baywatch, Hawaii. Anyway,
Calgon, take me away.
but no,
Hey, I
his
mean, The
no.
Rock is in the new Baywatch.
Well, yeah, yeah. I- Is he playing as? Never mind. Let's
He's
not go
playing.
there.
He's probably playing the Hoff's role.
Yeah, I was
Yeah, he's
gonna
playing the
say, is he
Hall.
playing? Is he playing the Hoff's role? But
And we
you
got
know
we got my baby starring in there also,
who that?
over from Quantico.
Oh
From
well,
Chronicle.
that's almost worth making it watchable now.
Oh, okay, okay. But
'Cause,
no.
yeah,
As
She's
far as
co-starring.
as far as this, the direction of DC films moving forward, um, this may be much ado about nothing for the most part because I think Wonder Woman could do it if they went the well, no. I mean, Wonder Woman's more fantasy, even though in her current incarnation, she's the goddess of war. Um, but they're not doing that Wonder Woman because that's a Wonder Woman that's too foreign to what the general public is used to. They're still used to the Linda Carter Wonder Woman, and that's what they kind of want to see. Um, but as far as like turning everything to Batman, I seriously hope they don't go that down that route, and I don't think they will. If they do, it's a recipe for disaster. Do you guys kind of agree with that, or would you rather see more darker adult takes on all of these characters and not really leave anything for the kids at all? Because I mean that's where we got our start was with all these heroes, and if we make them so foreign for the younger generation to kind of get into, I mean yeah they've got that the Teen Titans Go and stuff like that, but even those kind of pervert who the characters are because if the kids are always used to them being goofy and silly, then they're exposed to who the Teen Titans really are, and they'll be like turned off by that. They're saying, "No, that's not who the Teen Titans are,"
I think
and
children
that's kind
should.
of
I think children should be disillusioned as early as possible. Wu Tang is for the children. Um, like, let's be realistic here. I mean, it's like you have parents to differentiate these things for the children. We can't always let entertainment and media dictate what is going to essentially be things and the norm and how children learn.
tell
So if
tell
they
tell that to old Wade who despite the warning, some parents still took him to see Deadpool anyway.
And that's fine. That's within their rights as parents to do that. If they feel their children are mature enough to handle it, go ahead and do it. Explain to them that yes, this is fantasy. Don't go out there and kill anybody unless it's really necessary, and then go on from there. I mean, realistically, I'm tired of the whole oh well this we can't leave this for the kids. It's like, you know what, we have R-rated stuff, we have violence, and we have things for reasons. Not everything is for children.
Hmm.
Comic books are for kids in some forms, and in other forms they're not. So there's going to be times where the movies need to be more adult and more violent and better, and then there's going to be times where okay where they're not. So the characters exist through multiple mediums, multiple forms, and multiple interpretations. And
Megatron,
hard
your thoughts?
R, yeah.
Megan?
No, I agree. Well, I agree as in I don't want everything to be Batman or hard R, but I would tell you what I would love to see a hard R is the Creeper. You need to go ahead. They need to go ahead and make that Creeper movie and give them the R. Just me.
I know what you're talking about.
With Jack Ryder.
I know. Not gonna happen,
But
but I know.
but they got to do something because
Well, yeah,
but then again, I mean now I know it's a topic for another day, but we're not even sure when they bring the Suicide Squad, what'll come of Batman then. So I'll say after this movie, and then what we get from that, then maybe we can put together where, you know what I mean, where DC or where Warner Brothers is trying to go, because you might see one thing in Batman versus Superman, and then Suicide Squad throw us for a whole nother loop that we weren't even prepared for, and then it's like, damn, okay, maybe they might have it together, or it could be a dumpster fire.
Something to say the world.
Yeah.
Well,
Oh wow.
very,
That
very
guy.
interesting. And there's some points that we'll probably have to leave for another day because we've hit that time perfectly. Tomorrow is going to those of you that haven't seen the stream on Twitch, we have our Twitch schedule posted very neatly. We'll have theme days for the Junkie Nation live show moving from here on forward. We're gonna talk about comics and comic related stuff on top of the news of the day, and recap a little bit of Arrow after the show is over. Tomorrow's episode should be a pretty action packed one. So we will see you guys tomorrow at 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. If you got any show topics that you kind of would like to discuss, hit us up on Twitter or find us on Facebook, and leave us some messages there. So for all of the culture junkies, the Mega Sean right there, and the Big Kahuna,
Make sure you get your Warner Brothers cap.
for the Big Kahuna, for Daidakuji, for GQ. I am Kenshiro. Oh, and for Mr. Pessimistic. Sorry about that, fella. Uh, and we will see you guys tomorrow at 10 p.m. Have a good evening.
And for fresh face, Jason Momoa.
Oh wow! Thank you for that. Thanks for that.
Goodbye, everybody.
Thanks for that.